Greetings, everybody. This is Eddie Beaumaye, and you are tuning in to yet another episode of Just a Reminder Boxing Talk. Feels good to be back. Hope you all are doing well. And just a reminder, upsets are terrific for the sport. Even as someone that's not a Ryan Garcia fan, or a Devin Haney fan for that matter, I was very satisfied what had happened over the weekend, and I just got to say it's good when the sport gets shaken up and when new names enter the top and all that. And I don't root on anyone's downfall per se. I don't want to see everyone lose their O's, no, but I mean people that have been undefeated and on the pound-for-pound list so long, it's very intriguing when someone unexpected just comes and thwarts them. So, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't greatly interested in the fight. It was one that I was going to eventually watch. I didn't think it'd be a bad one per se, but I gotta say, I eat my crow, and I totally underestimated Ryan Garcia, but I don't think I'm the only one that can say the same. Many believe, including the Haneys themselves, that Ryan Garcia was just organizing a very obscure, perhaps unnecessary, but at the end of the day, very clever publicity stunt to convince us all that he wasn't taking the fight serious, that he wasn't in the right spot mentally. And I mean, if that's what happened, it worked. And even though the two had intrigue in the sense that they had fought 6 times and each defeated each other 3 times in the amateurs, I felt like Devin Haney had shown much more talent and accomplishments, which goes without saying, in the pros. But just a reminder, accomplishments and talent for that matter don't always win fights, because just a reminder, sometimes physical assets themselves win fights. I felt like Ryan Garcia deserved the decision even without the knockdowns. But is that because I felt like he was a better boxer? No. Is that because I felt like he outboxed Devin Haney per se? No. That said, what he lacks in an advantage skill-wise over Devin Haney, he certainly has every asset physically, and that showed, and I felt like that guided him to victory on Saturday night. So as I was saying, I wasn't very interested. I watched, I had seen it before. I had just bought Late Night with the Devil on Vudu, which, just a reminder, horror fans, you need to see that movie if you haven't. Cinema fans, film fans, I should say, in general, do yourself a favor and see that. If you haven't, do yourself a favor and rewatch it if you have. But I had just bought the movie. A dear friend, I had him on the show before, Darnell, he had asked if I was going to watch the fight, and I was like, you know what, I just feel like I know how the fight's going to go, so I'm not going to watch. Well, my night went different than I expected, so, you know, I tuned in, and I'm glad that I did. I had Devin Haney winning the fight going in, and I was happy to be proven wrong. Now, as I had basically said already, I totally thought that Devin Haney was a much better boxer, a much more accomplished fighter, and was taking the fight more serious. On top of the fact, momentum matters. I mean, losing to Gervonta Davis is one thing, but I didn't think that Ryan Garcia looked good against Oscar Duarte, even if he got the KO, and that was a fight at 140, whereas the only other time that Devin Haney had stepped foot in the 140-pound division, apropos to this, I thought he had a career-best performance against someone that was a top 5 140-pounder for a long time, Enriquez Prograis. But that ended up not mattering. So let's talk about Devin Haney. Just a reminder, Devin Haney is still one of the best pure boxers today, but pure boxers themselves, even if they abide by the sweet science and the hit and don't hit rule better than anybody, they tend to come with their limitations. I mean, just a reminder, no fighter is perfect per se, but something about Devin Haney, for as good of a ring IQ as he possesses, he doesn't really have the ability to adjust, and no one else really acknowledges that. You see, Devin Haney beat Jorge Linares and Joseph Diaz back-to-back and won an identical decision on points, in my opinion, a.k.a. being 8-4. Whereas the challengers were able to adjust and do what they had to win rounds, but in the sense of Jorge Linares, it was off the momentum of one punch. You see, a lot of people got very defensive over Haney through the years, saying that he doesn't have a glass jaw because he didn't go down from that shot. Well, no one thinks that anyone has a glass jaw for getting dropped or hurt by a punch, but the fact that he didn't seem to recover in the remaining 2 rounds says a lot, because every other time that Jorge Linares was able to hit him in rounds 11 and 10 off the punch from round 10 alone, it definitely seemed to bother Haney to a certain extent. Whereas Joseph Diaz, who, just a reminder, was never a big lightweight, and also just a reminder, was never a solid puncher at all. I felt like he was able to get Haney's respect and have some effect on him in the late rounds. Granted, Devin Haney definitely won the fight. I still had my questions after that. So, because of that, I have felt like he was an accident waiting to happen for a while. I just definitely didn't expect Ryan Garcia to be the person to show that to the world. Don't get me wrong, folks. I totally felt like Ryan Garcia was an accident waiting to happen through the years. If any of you remember, years ago he had fought gatekeeper Carlos Morales, who, I can't remember if it's 19 or 21, or maybe not either of those, but if I had to guess, it's either 19 or 21. But in those 19 or 21 wins, I believe he only possesses 3 knockouts. So Carlos Morales, even though KO records can be deceiving, is not a puncher at all. And Garcia was able to win the first 6 rounds of their meeting off talent and skill alone. But towards the end of the 7th, a young Ryan Garcia had gotten buckled by Carlos Morales. And he didn't look shaky and vulnerable, per se, like Devin Haney did against Linares in the sense. That said, he did look lost and a bit hesitant. And because of that, I knew he would be an accident waiting to happen. I mean, losing to Tank is one thing, like I said, but I definitely thought Devin Haney was going to viciously outclass him and make him quit, and the furthest thing from that happened. That said, I feel like maybe Haney could hurt him. I kind of thought in round 3 or 4 that Garcia got racked. I don't think he was in any danger whatsoever, but I thought that Haney had hit him with some shots that bothered him. My friend Darnell, who I had just talked about, said that seemed to wake up Garcia. And Darnell, who was rooting for Haney, said that he was worrying for him at that time there too. And even though I don't think that Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney is the most durable fight in the world, and even though Devin Haney, just a reminder, is the better boxer than Ryan Garcia, in hindsight it does make sense that the fighter that is stronger and faster was able to exploit one's lack of durability rather than the other. Now let's get to the fight itself. In round 1, when Ryan Garcia hurt Devin Haney, which, don't get me wrong, I always knew that Ryan had the capability of hurting him. It definitely caught me by surprise in the sense that it happened so fast, and I was impressed that Devin Haney was able to see the end of the round without leaving his feet. I don't even think Ryan Garcia did enough to earn a 10-8 round, nonetheless, but that being said, I kind of thought that might be the only time that Ryan was able to have an effect on Devin or even win a round. Because like I said, I knew that Ryan Garcia had the power and the speed to get to Devin Haney. But what I realized in hindsight is that he also has the craftiness. Is Ryan Garcia a master boxer? No. Is he a technician of some sort? No. But to say that he can't box or isn't crafty in his own ways is a lie. I saw someone, not naming any names, say a very rather irrelevant comment that if Ryan Garcia doesn't hurt Devin Haney, then he loses 12-0. Okay, well, one isn't just going to hit Devin Haney by swinging for the fences, otherwise that would have happened already. Zara Abduliev and Antonio Moran, good fighters, not great but still good nonetheless, were thoroughly outclassed by Devin Haney. And not only were they stopped, they were unable to touch him whatsoever. So that just goes to show my point. I feel like one is not going to touch Devin Haney by swinging for the fences. Is Devin Haney a defensive master? No. Is he able to be caught in between? Absolutely. But is he just an easy target? Absolutely not. So, once round 2 had came, which I want to give credit to my friend Scott, he said that Ryan Garcia definitely had what it took to get to him and that Devin was suspect, and it happened right after. So even though I just said that about myself, it happened right as he called it, so I gotta give him credit for that. But that said, I felt like despite taking maybe the best punch of the round, a counter left hook to the head, that Devin Haney was able to walk away with round 2, and I felt he was able to walk away with the next 3 after that. Which, even though I had Devin winning the rounds, I wasn't overly impressed. I noticed that Devin Haney does not look good as an aggressive fighter, and I mean, outboxers just typically aren't used to having to be aggressive. You see, just a reminder, Ryan Garcia has the worst shoulder roll of all time. It looks like he is trying to fart on somebody when he utilizes his shoulder roll. And not only is the stance incorrect, I notice he only ever leans one way, and it doesn't do him any favors. No, I don't count kidney shots, no, but I mean, still, he makes himself an open target when the purpose is the opposite, which is very ironic. But nonetheless, even though Ryan Garcia was giving him a lot of openings, I wasn't very impressed with what Devin was doing. He was getting more sloppy than usual, actually. I remember in round 5, I think it was, Devin Haney landed a left hook. Actually, in hindsight, I don't even know if it landed or not, but case in point, he threw a left hook from the ground up and was wide open for a counter left hook that I'm absolutely certain would have dropped him, but Ryan just didn't throw it. When round 7 came, I knew that the fight was going to get even more interesting. I do think that Ryan Garcia had won round 6, but when round 7 came, that was just maybe the biggest, oh wow moments of the year so far in boxing. I didn't expect to see Devin Haney dropped in this bout, and I mean, the knockdowns were pretty dramatic. And even though he had the winning performance without a doubt in my mind, Ryan Garcia, I don't think he pitched a good performance. I think it was inconsistent, and I think that was his downfall. I thought that Ryan looked very sharp when he was letting his hands go. I was very impressed by how easy he was able to get to Haney. But at the same time, I noticed whether he punched himself out or not, or whether it was because he had shown up out of shape, I felt like Ryan was never able to effectively follow up in any of the rounds. I feel like the most hurt that Devin was in round 7. And he did what he could. Held and didn't let Ryan go to work, but his legs didn't seem to be under him. They didn't seem to be under him in rounds 10 or 11 after being dropped, but Ryan seemed to let him get back into the fight. I don't think he did it intentionally per se, but I had said to Scott while we were watching the fight that Ryan Garcia is the first guy that I've seen in maybe ever, in all my time as a boxing fan, that will score a knockdown and then just go hide in the corner for the rest of the round. So I definitely underestimated Ryan Garcia. He was actually my least favorite fighter for a bit because, long story short, I'm pretty anti-conspiracy. I'm not saying I don't believe in any, but the vast majority, I do not believe in, and I was very annoyed with his preachy conspiratorial stuff on Twitter. I thought it was a bad look that he was getting turned and drunk on Instagram Live. Not to mention what happened at the weigh-in. I've never seen anything like it, but yeah. So, publicity stunt or not, that was very impressive. Just a reminder that the Haneys declared that they were in great shape and were ready for the fight. So, if one uses the, he was weight gain excuse, it is absolutely irrelevant. And congrats to Ryan Garcia for securing his signature win of his career thus far. Let's talk about where they both go. Despite what Ryan Garcia did, he's still not a world champion, and I'm not quite sure that he will be a world champion. I think that there's good fights for him to make at 140. I can't really see either being a threat at 147. Whether they're meant to go up there or not physically is up to them, up to their nutritionist, up to their trainers, but I personally feel like 140 is a safer division for them. And I think that Ryan Garcia, I would like to see a rematch just because, but I would totally understand if it doesn't happen, and I think a rematch goes the same way or ends faster. Because this fight, Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia in the pros, where they've developed some grown man strength, lots of experience to boot, and get to use smaller gloves. I just feel like this fight in the pros is going to come down to Ryan Garcia's physical advantages or Devin Haney's lack thereof, rather than Devin Haney's advantage in ring IQ and technical ability. I also want to say that Devin Haney, before I talk about the future, but also kind of tying into it, I feel like Devin Haney does not do well under pressure, which a lot of pure boxers don't. Usually a pure boxer versus a swarmer, we'll see a swarmer walk into the jab or the jab and right hand over and over, or we'll see them overwhelm the pure boxer with their tenacity, their pressure, and their volume. And while Ryan Garcia was not always the aggressor in the fight, I felt like the pressure and volume that Ryan did showcase did overwhelm him. That's why I don't really understand when people acted like I was crazy for saying Sabril Matias would beat Devin Haney. Did I ever say that Sabril Matias was a better technician than Devin Haney? Absolutely not, and never will I ever. But I feel like his size, his power, and his volume would definitely overwhelm Haney. Different weight class now, but I feel like William Zepeda would do the same. I would like to see either against Teofimo Lopez, who, just a reminder, is taking a very unnecessary fight after a very underwhelming performance against Jermaine Ortiz. But nonetheless, believe it or not, Teofimo Lopez is actually the most winnable big fight for Devin Haney, in my opinion, because Teofimo Lopez just has an inability to look good against lateral movement. That said, I feel like once Teofimo Lopez gets to Haney, because he will at some point, he can definitely put him away, whether it's in that round or the next few. On that note, I forgot to say, I really don't think that Ryan Garcia, as great of a puncher as he is a good finisher at all. I mean, one can incorporate the fact that Devin Haney knew how to survive, but still. Had he actually tried to go to work in rounds 10 or 11 after securing a knockdown, maybe I'd have felt different. All in all, despite the boring and ugly moments, I was very entertained with the fight. It was very drama-filled and just unexpected, and that made it feel like a breath of fresh air, so I'd love to see it again. And until next time, Addy Boomerye is out.